Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. We're about 30 seconds from Inter Miami's 4-1 victory over the Houston Dynamo on the road. Saur, the title of our pregame show was Going on the Road in the MLS is Hard. That looked very easy. I have so many thoughts, but first I will ask you, how did you feel about Inter Miami's dominant 4-1 victory over the Houston Dynamo tonight?
A little too easy. And this may just be the greatest squad that's ever been assembled. You know what?
Certainly in the U.S. Certainly
Yeah.
in the U.S.
Yeah. The difference is that the balance is insane. This is great. It's fantastic. And I'm just glad I got vindicated by the fact that when Telasca Segovia plays in the middle, he basically plays with messy fairy dust on his toes because,
Dude.
my goodness, what an absolute baller. Also, apparently, the chat is saying that Ian Frey got a red card.
So I will say, we turn the TV off
Yep.
and come live as soon as the game ends because we want to get here, in the 30 seconds after. So the chat is saying as we speak that Ian Frey may have gotten a red card. We will wait for a little bit more confirmation on that. So we'll hold off on that for a second. But I have a new philosophy, not a new philosophy. I have a new thought on this game, after this game, during this game, because I had so much time to just reflect on the quality of this team because the game was out of hand so early. You said this is the best team like ever. Certainly in MLS play, probably in the history of American soccer. That feels big to say, but Cello Wiegand is a good, solid MLS player. Like, I believe that totally. Robert Taylor is a good MLS player. Drake Callender is a good MLS player. They don't belong on the field in this team. And I mean that not as a shot at those guys, because I think those are good, solid players, especially Drake and Robert Taylor. I have a lot of love and respect for them. But, like, Robert Taylor shouldn't be starting over Telasco Segovia. He shouldn't be starting over Tadeo Allende. What we've seen from Ustadi, that is like next level. Federico Redondo, he's the third most expensive midfielder, non-attacking midfielder in the history of this league. And he's not good enough to start in this 11. And that doesn't mean he shouldn't be playing. It doesn't mean he shouldn't get starts, but he's like...
It's the starting 11, yeah.
He's a rotation piece in terms of his quality, and he is a very good player. He's a very good player, but he doesn't belong in this 11. Robert Taylor, very good player. Drake Callender, very good player. They don't belong in this 11. And so that's my first take. Guys they've brought in this year, and even last year, but in a more balanced way this year, like Telasco Segovia, like Tadeo Allende, like Gonzalo Lujan, Maxi Falcone. They are so good. They are so technically refined. They have so much quality. It blows my mind. This is not normal. This is not normal. Don't expect this to ever happen again for as long as you follow Inter Miami, because this is special. And then to add on to that, the fact that there are players that don't belong in the, we were able to recruit them because of Messi, or we have some special connection. Guys like Yannick Bright, guys like Ian Frey, guys like Noah Allen, guys like Benjamin Kramaski to a slightly lower level. The fact that they can just step up and grow into that level of player is equally amazing. My mind is blown right now. So I'm going to let you take over because I don't even know what else to say. It's so great.
No, there's... At the cost of over excitement and over exaggerating after one good victory against a very good Houston team, I think this team has definitely evolved a level up. And when I say evolved, the technicality that the players have, the kind of patterns of play that we're seeing, the coaching, the setup, the formation, the compactness, it all looks so refined. And for the fifth game of the season under a new coach with a fairly different setup, without our best player on the field, this team looked so solid and ready to just run through the Houston midfield, Houston backline. We did so well this entire game, and it was more the players who you named: Ian Frey, Yannick Bright, Telasco Segovia, Tadeo Allende, Noah Allen, the youngsters, the players who came up from the academy, the 2 players that we've just brought. It was them who stepped up and absolutely got the game by the cuff of its neck and be like, we're going to take charge here. We're not scared of playing away from home. We are going to absolutely destroy this team because we're the best in the world. And they just took the game away completely. I know the couple of chances that we had were half chances, but the way we finished, the way we dominated, I think we won that midfield battle through and through. I'm sorry, but Yannick Bright is so much better than Jack. What was his name?
Jack McGlynn. So is Kramaski.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You were talking big about, and not because you believe that, but because that's how Houston fans are feeling, and I understand that. So I'm not putting this on you. But like the difference between a player like Jack McGlynn, who is an exciting young talent, and what Inter Miami throws out there is night and day. So when people get excited about Jack McGlynn, like just realize like that's not getting excited because it's a player Inter Miami.
That's getting excited for an MLS level player, but this team
and
is
that's not what Inter Miami has.
Level. Yeah,
and I guess that was the point of my opening sort of monologue, that this team is beyond a good MLS team. Like again, Robert Taylor, a good MLS player, Redondo, a really good MLS player, Drake Counter, a really good MLS player, and they don't belong in the starting 11. And I love those guys. Like I don't even know what to say, really.
By the way, I think Ian Frey did get a red card in some post-game scuffle. Guys, I know it's a bit of a bummer after a really good game, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what the news is and why he got that red card, and hopefully the league reviews it and it gets taken away. But not great news if that's the case, because then we'll have two of our right backs out for the next couple of weeks, because he will technically be out for 3 games in the MLS. At least he can still play the Concacaf Champions Cup.
I don't think so.
Straight red.
I don't think. Well, anyways, we'll get to that later. I want to see what happened because
yeah.
We weren't watching. We were talking about how great this team is, so we missed the whole experience. Okay, let's get to the.
Let's talk about the game. I don't want to talk about any dampers or any negatives right now. Let's talk about the game.
Okay, we'll skip this. Miami King says last 3 yellows are not mature, though.
But that's the thing, right? Later. They're not mature. Alba, I think, was the most poor player out there. I think he had the worst performance of every one of them.
There was 2 yellow cards given to Inter Miami players in the last 5 to 7 minutes that came directly after a Heron got fouled and there was no call, and then they fouled back and got a yellow card. That was ridiculous. But whatever. Inter Miami Inter Miami could have gotten a red card earlier. Yannick Bright's tackle where he pulled the shoulder of the Houston Dynamo player, that could have been a second yellow, and they didn't give it to him. So I'm not going to complain about the refereeing, because that could have been an actual game-changing play. The things that happened in the last 7 minutes are just annoying footnotes, but aren't going to change my excitement. What is going to change my excitement is Telasco Segovia. Spicy, says SD. What a game. I think I want to call him Hot Sauce Segovia from now on, because he is burning hot. He is so good. He has so much quality. You absolutely called it. Put him in that central spot and all of the quality shines. And by the way, this guy can play
arrogance
too.
It's arrogant. He plays with arrogance. And I say that with all the good sense of the word. He looked like the most seasoned player out there. Like Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, Suarez, take all of them aside. Telasco Segovia outshone every single player on that pitch. And he played with absolute nonchalance and arrogance, to the point where it felt like he was running the show. It was fantastic to watch.
Here's the other thing, for those that don't know. He can play what Busquets' job is too. Like he's going to be... He's not going to be a Swiss Army knife. He's going to be like a Swiss Army machete. But he's so good. He's so multidimensional. Listen, when we first signed him, I think it was a Fabrizio Romano tweet. And I started reading on this player, and I got so excited. I couldn't wait for you to finish work. I had to go live to talk about him because I was so excited. And the fact that it's coming to fruition so early, right? 2 games, 3 goals in the MLS. It's incredible. And he was just so calm, always in the right spot, knew how to find the right ball. That pass that led to the second goal for Tadeo Allende, that ball forward to Luis Suarez was something else. He's so good. Thomas says Segovia will get sold before Redondo. Enjoy Segovia. Enjoy 100%. Segovia. He's going to be gone next winter. No doubt.
I just saw the Ian Frey red card. I think it's going to get rescinded by the league. It was them getting into a bit of a scuffle. He pushed the other player by grabbing onto his neck right in front. Like the referee was literally standing 2 meters away. But I don't think it should have been a red card. It's just post-game heat, and I don't know if it gets rescinded or not, but I don't think it should have been a red card. We'll see. We'll wait to see what happens, but it seems a bit harsh from the video that I've seen.
Okay, I will leave it to your impression. Maybe we can talk about it tomorrow because I'm not going to check it out right now. I'm too high on this this performance and this team. Mark says, add Segovia to the list of great Inter Miami players to wear at number 8. Pozuelo, Campana, Diego Gomez, and now Talasco Segovia. Miami King says Redondo is bad. He's not bad. He's a good player. He's a better player than Jack McGlynn. Let me put it that way. He's a better player than Jack McGlynn. Like
he's
that's
better
the whole thing.
Jack McGlynn,
but he's not as good as Yannick Bright.
His standard is really good for another MLS team. His standard is not good enough for an Inter Miami team. And I don't want to talk about whether player fits
let's
in
talk
this
about
Miami
Yannick
team or not.
Can we talk about Yannick Bright?
Wait. Let's talk about Redondo. Okay. Redondo was fine. He was okay. Let's talk about Yannick Bright.
No. I do want to give Redondo some credit because he had one moment where he stepped into a passing lane that he anticipated, and he just got an easy turnover because he just anticipated a pass. That's not something we see from Redondo ever. And so even though it wasn't like crazy impressive, it's like the baby steps. And I noticed that, and I want to give him some credit for it. Okay, Yannick Bright, he's the best. He's better than he's better than
honestly.
Redondo.
If we get to see a midfield of Sergio Busquets, Yannick Bright, and Segovia again, I don't mind moving Messi to the right for at least a couple of games because this midfield is insane. It is so good. I loved every single thing this midfield had to carry. It had composure and calm with Busquets. It had the interceptions and the spacing with Bright, and it had the absolute box-to-box energy, the style and the panache with Segovia playing that number 10 role. It was fantastic to watch. I wouldn't mind pushing Messi out to the right wing if we get to see this midfield again at least one time again this season. But that's the best midfield that we have when Messi's out of the starting 11. 100%. Has to be. It's phenomenal. Bright is the thing.
And it is really well balanced.
Unless you're actually watching Bright every single minute of the game, you won't necessarily understand how nuanced and important his role is on the team. He does so many things underratedly well. Just his positioning and his movement, he covers so much space, which is insane for one player. It feels like there's 3 players in the midfield with just one Yannick Bright covering all those 3 spots. But also he's now starting to really sharpen up his passing as well. It's getting crispier.
He wins the ball. He wins the ball. He wins the ball.
Always.
Redondo doesn't win the ball. Busquets doesn't win the ball. Like our midfielders don't win the ball. Like Ruiz, Cremasta, they don't win the ball all the time like Yannick Bright does. And so yes, defensively, transition opportunity, all that, he is excellent. And we've talked about that since he really broke out last summer. But
and he got that yellow card early on, and it felt like it didn't bother him. Of course, I think towards the end it got a little bit too close.
No, but it didn't impact his game.
A couple of chances, but yeah, it didn't impact his game. He was playing professionally, very mature, knew when to pass the ball forward, when to calm things down. Really good under pressure now as well. There's some elements of his game that I'm starting to see evolve, and just overall a fantastic game. I'm seeing the chat mention that Houston is probably terrible. No, Houston was terrible today because we made them look bad. This is going to be a good team if they get their pieces together. But we actually played the perfect game that it was to play against Houston. They played really well against Dallas and lost because of their error. Today, they had that one error to begin with. And then after that, we just controlled the game by...
They got outclassed.
Yeah, completely. They're not a bad team. And we just showed exactly the gulf in class between 2 teams in the MLS.
I think Houston's going to make the playoffs in the West. I think they're a top half of the league team. Like they're not, and the West is worse than the East for sure. But they are going to make the playoffs. I'm fairly confident in that. They're a top half of the league type team, in that 12 to 15 range of quality in the league. And Inter Miami just went to their place and crushed them. So I don't know. Bizrat says, I liked everything about Mascherano's substitution, game management, player selection. Forget the player selection. Maybe we'll talk about it more tomorrow. Forget about the substitutions. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. But the game plan to let them possess the ball and then go press them high and win it in opportunities to get quick transitions. That is something Inter Miami has always done really well over the last 2.5 years, or since Messi arrived. They've done really well against teams that dare to try and hold possession like that. Houston played their style, and remember, just won the ball and created opportunities and just dominated the game. This reminded me of the Orlando City win from the beginning of last season where they crushed them 5-0. They tried to play an expansive style, and Inter Miami just won turnovers, put the ball forward, and created quick offense, and then they scored 1,000,000 goals. Great game plan from Mascherano. I really appreciate what Jordi Alba was doing. I know you didn't necessarily love his individual performance, and I kind of agree with that.
I think,
although I think he
in
made up
terms
for
of
it
in terms of every other player on the pitch, I think Jordi was probably the least impressive, if that's the way to put it. He wasn't bad. But I don't know. I'm asking this question because I want an answer for my hair in the flu, not tomorrow, and I want to get a little bit of a glimpse to that. But yeah, I think he might have been the least impressive player on the pitch. Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to rewatch it.
Here's what I'll say. Like, if you want to say he had bad touches or whatever, fine. We'll rewatch the game and give a different opinion tomorrow. But he played conservatively because the team knew Griffin Dorsey coming from that right back, pushing high up the field was the threat.
Dangerous. And they had a couple of good opportunities from that side.
And they were right. And so the fact that they kept Jordi Alba deep consistently in this game and he didn't get forward, didn't allow him to show like real great quality high up the pitch, but also it kept us from giving not 3 times where they got Griffin Dorsey down that right side, but it could have been 9, 10, 11 and 3 goals. So great decision by the coaching staff to make sure Jordi Alba was taking care of what he needed to do defensively, and then bringing Noah Allen over. Oh, dude, we can talk about Noah Allen, but
let's not, because it's going to be another it's going to be another rant for about 30 minutes of how good Noah Allen is. We can leave that for tomorrow. I'm sure he's going to be discussed tomorrow.
I guess to Bizrat's point, I do want to give Mascherano credit for the game plan because it was excellent and the players executed, and it was
I think
really,
it's
really
the
nice.
execution and the sharpness as well with which we showed up, because you and I talked about this, right? When we do get the ball, we have to make the most of it. And that's what I really liked about the team, whether it was Kremaski, whether it was Segovia, Allende. They didn't have loose touches. They were getting to the second balls well, making the most of all the space that was given to them and afforded to them by Houston, and then having dangerous passes forward that led to some opportunities. The first couple of goals that we scored, I think, were half chances. First goal, of course, got gifted, which was easy. The second and the third goal that Segovia and Allende scored were half chances. They weren't necessarily clear on chances on goal, yet we just converted them with such ferocity. If you talk about Allende's shot, which was fantastic.
So let's talk about it, because Bezrat asked, how about that banger from Allende? He's a right-footed player, and he scored that shot, that banger, with his left foot. I want to put my hand up and apologize because maybe 2.5 weeks ago, I asked the question. I wasn't making a statement, but I asked the question. Is there a reason this guy doesn't have a ton of goals in his career? For a guy that's turning 25, he feels very tooled up, and he didn't have a ton of goals, and it didn't quite work at Celta. And I wondered if he was having trouble as a career player, like for his career, turning potential and tools into production. I was wrong. I admit it. I do that sometimes. He's really, really good, and he's going to score a bunch of goals for Inter Miami this year.
3 goals already, or 2 goals? Yeah, 3 goals, right? I think he has 3 goals. Regardless,
2 goals and an assist, maybe. I don't know. But he's been awesome.
One thing that really surprised me about Allende is his actual quickness and the way he controls the ball and what he does with it, because he's such a big lad. I would almost think he's a little bit clunky when he plays, but absolutely not. And I see your reaction. I don't know what's happened, so I'm going
to. I just saw the red card. That is so dumb.
It's not a red card.
Oh my god, that better get overturned.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
It feels like with the height that he has, the frame that he has, he should be like a clunky target man, not someone who's nimble on his feet. And yet he's just so quick and smooth and silky on his feet, and has that shot in him that absolutely buried itself at the back of the net. I was so surprised that he took that on. But the guts that the team showed, honestly, there's a lot of confidence in this team that I think emanates not just from the coaching staff, obviously, but these players seem to believe in themselves. Segovia seems to have that swag. Allende seems to have that swag in him, and it is really reflecting in the way we're playing and dominating games at times. So
what helps?
I really liked it.
You know what helps you get some confidence and really believe in yourself?
Having the best players on the pitch around
Being
you.
way better than the other team.
Yeah.
That helps.
But
It's incredible.
without getting carried away a little bit, I think this was the most complete performance we've seen from Inter Miami this season so far. Because the first game, you could have agreed, oh, it was too cold. Maybe that was an excuse for not playing super well, just scoring one goal. Second game against New York, it was New York. We lost Ardiles early on. Third game, I felt like the 3 goals that we scored were more individual moments of brilliance. And then this game, even though those goals were individual moments of brilliance, we were on top for a large part. And I think our game plan was spot on. Overall, very well planned out game that just went through smooth sailing.
Thomas says Ben Cram's not good. What did you think
disagree.
of Kramaski's performance tonight?
I thought he was key in that midfield role, or wide midfielder role, and that wide channel to press and cut off some of the passing lanes for Houston. He was very good with the ball at times, and I thought he was sharp and maybe not as good as Segovia or Allende and not able to get those, those goals and assists. But I thought he was key to what Inter Miami was trying to do.
That's the whole thing about it. And again, how I opened this with my monologue. Is Kramaski as good as Telasco Segovia? No. But like that doesn't mean Kramaski's a bad player. He would be one.
It's all relative.
Like he would be the guy on Houston that the entire fan base was ecstatic to have, and they wouldn't believe that he actually was on Houston. Like that's what Kramaski would be on other teams. Like the way that Houston fans talk about Jack McGlynn, the way that MLS people talk about Jack McGlynn, that's what they would be saying about Kramaski. 15 plus 17 goal contributions this year would be the expectation for him if he was on Houston. And I know that sounds silly because Kramaski's not even a starter for us, and he's probably not going to play more than 1,800 minutes, 2,000 minutes this year. That would be a good number for him. But that's what other MLS teams are dealing with. And Inter Miami has Telasco Segovia and Tadeo Allende. And, oh, by the way, this guy called Lionel Messi, who did not play a second tonight, didn't even show up. And did you notice him? He was gone. Like
honestly,
we crushed him.
Honestly, I'm glad that the Houston fans got a refund for this game or free tickets afterwards because they got destroyed. Sorry, I had to get that in. I had another thought, but it completely slipped my mind. I'll probably come back to it. So we'll talk about it eventually.
Okay, here, let's get you talking about something else. Anton said Saur will eat his words on Suarez. Before you talk about
terrible. And he got 3 assists and a goal.
Before you say anything, because I've always been the Suarez defender. He fluffed up 2 really good opportunities and completely butchered 2 potential opportunities with horrible passes. I mean, this was the worst I thought he looked in 2025. I know people were complaining in the preseason, but this was bad. And yet, two official assists. One, it's not going to count because there was a little deflection from the defender, but was intimately involved in all 3 of the first goals. And then he scores the 4th goal with a really nice vintage Luis Suarez move. Like that 4th goal was fantastic, by the way. It was he was bad, but also awesome and had 3.5 goal contributions.
He was so bad and he had 3.5 goal contributions. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. I remembered what I was thinking about. So you mentioned MLS people and people around the MLS hype up Jack McGlynn and some of the other players. For good measure, of course, they're very good MLS players. There was one moment in that game where Taylor Twellman, I can rant about how much I dislike some of the commentary that he does for Inter Miami, but there's this one moment where Inter Miami was just absolutely tearing it up with their tiki-taka, and Twellman was like, what even is this? And I actually laughed out loud because he's right. There was some moments where it was absolutely bizarre how easily we cut through Houston. There was some very smooth, silky football that I think got lost in the grand scheme of things. It was phenomenal to watch at times, and I really enjoyed it. I don't want to get carried away. I'm sorry. This is just the third game, second MLS game of the season, fourth game of the season overall.
I think he said that on a ball that Telasco Segovia put in as a cross that got headed away and defended well. Like that wasn't even in a moment that Inter Miami scored on.
No, it was one where Inter Miami not scored on, but we built the ball from the back. We built the ball from the back and just absolutely one pass, and we were into the final third, and it was just beautiful to watch. But yeah, that red is going to get turned.
Okay, so here's what I'll say. Ace Lionel says, "How does Barlow not get a red too for holding on to Frey's jersey?" From what I just watched, which is a 10-second clip, they were just holding each other's jersey and then they pushed each other away. And the ref looks at Ian Frey and gives him a red card. That looks like a terrible call, and he should absolutely be appealed and overturned. But we don't know what was said, so maybe he said something he shouldn't have said. I don't know. I don't want to judge anything until I hear more about it, because all I saw was this 10-second clip. TRA says, "Didn't I say that Allende and Segovia are going to score?" Great call from you in the pregame show. Wookie, is Frey out for 3 matches? Is that the rule? Is Aviles out for 3 matches? I thought that was like a
Aviles might not be out for 3 matches because of a dog. I'm not sure. He might actually be,
sure
or 2 matches. I think 2 matches.
I think that's a Premier League thing. I don't think that's an MLS thing. But maybe. I don't. Now that you've said it, it's completely thrown me off. We will learn.
As an Inter Miami podcast, we should know the rules technically, but it's okay.
But this is a raw reaction. I'm too excited about how good this team is. Skrilla says, almost a clean sheet. Ustari has officially overcome Drake Callender as the #1 goalkeeper, as we saw Drake Callender on the bench today. So it's
1
official.
match suspension in the MLS.
And by doing that, he inherited Inter Miami's hatred for giving their #1 goalkeeper clean sheets. So Drake Callender probably deserved about 14 clean sheets over the last year and a half, and his team let him down for 1 silly goal like that happened tonight, for about 12 of those. And that's exactly what happened.
And to have Lodef.
I lost your volume. Wookie says, the team seems so much more balanced. So this is your big thing that you were calling all offseason and throughout the preseason. So I want to give you a lot of credit, because you were absolutely right. This team looks so much more balanced, not just the quality of the players, but the way they interact with each other, or rather fit together, is so impressive, especially that back line.
It just feels much better to watch as well, right? Like it doesn't seem unbalanced in whatever way. Yeah, there might be instances where you're like, okay, this player should be playing ahead of this player, or there should be some instances where you can be saying, yeah, a few changes here and there. But overall, the squad looks balanced. There's not one player who's, out of place, or 3 players who have the same style and playing together in the middle of the park. Everyone has something different to offer, and it feels like we're benefiting from every player's skill sets really well right now. And that might change over the course of the season, but I think the way there's been a conscious decision to make sure that every player fits in this team in a specific way, you can understand why we got in the players that we did and why we're playing the system that we are, because it just seems balanced. There's a justification for every player on this team, and that, I think, is a really good place to be as a team in the 3rd game of the season. Now 4.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, guys, do us a favor and hit the like button. We got like 230 people watching, so we'd appreciate it if you do that. Paolo says, hoping Obando joins the team soon. Still need that backup striker. Obando is supposedly going through the paperwork and work visa process. So that is going to happen over the next couple of weeks.
We still have a couple of more players coming in, by the way. Abondo might be one of them, but then we might be thinking of bringing another player in. Who knows? We've been linked, of course, to Baltazar Rodriguez and a couple of others. So
the MLS released their roster breakdowns over the last couple of days, and that's the type of thing we could spend 25 minutes talking about. But because we have game after game after game after game,
we don't have the time.
We don't have the time to do it.
By the way, Jordi Alba is a DP now, isn't he?
But I think he can be bought down. So if we need to free up that DP, I think. But we will find that out at some point when the MLSPA releases their salary information. Ethan says, why did Ian Frey get sent off? Because he had a little tussle with someone at the end. I don't really know what happened. We were already live by the time that happened. Joe says, Suarez 1 goal and 3 assists. Like I said, no limp at all this year. The man can dance. What can I say?
I think he's limping, man. He's on crutches, but hey, if he can still produce like that, I don't mind.
Ash says the team is CONMEBOL level. Dude. I said it.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
No,
We're still playing Houston.
I said it last week. This team's going to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I am so confident in that. They have so much quality, balance, and again, people are going to point to how they did last year against Monterrey, but so many little circumstances went against Inter Miami in that tie. That just happens sometimes, and it could happen again this year. But like this team, if it stays healthy, is really, really primed to win that tournament, I think. Who else stood out to you? Ian Frey, defensively?
Really good. Absolutely locked down Aliyu down. Like,
yeah.
No, like there were so many instances where he just bullied the player off the ball. And I was like, damn, he's really building up. I think he had a much better game now than compared to the last game against Kansas City. Going forward as well, there's just this one thing that he does that I absolutely love watching. And he does this time and time again, and it's unstoppable, where he receives the ball and he just cuts into the middle of the park. Like he just drives inwards rather than go down the byline. And there's just so much space there. It's so good to watch. I absolutely love that. I love that.
Ethan says, should Kremasky play at right back then? I hope not, because if Ian Frey is suspended, even if it's for one match, and Cello's still unhealthy, I mean, now you are talking about Lujan, or I hope it's not Kremasky, if I'm being honest with you.
I think we'll find a replacement. Maybe Lujan, maybe Aviles can play there. Who knows? We'll see.
Fred says, Scotty, why are you spending so much time on talking about the good players not belonging in the starting 11? Feels unnecessarily harsh, because I want everyone to realize this team is special. Like it's next level. And I'm like, the quality of players that we do have in the starting 11 is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And again, I do think Redondo's a good player. I don't know if I have been critical of him because I don't know if he partners the best with Busquets, but I do think he's a good player. And I thought him and Yannick Bright together last year actually had a really nice combination.
You know what? It's also important. It's not harsh, actually. It's good that you bring up that point, because it's important to contextualize this. Some of the players that we may criticize for not having good performance, if they were on any other MLS team, they would actually be really put on a pedestal. Like Kremasky on any other MLS team could potentially be their best player. Ian Frey, for sure, Robert Taylor, Federico Redondo. So it's important to contextualize that. I don't think it's harsh saying that some of the players are who may not be starting in the 11 are not good enough for this team. It's just that they're good, but the level of this team is just so high with some of the technicality and some of the talent that we have, that you can tell why some of these good players aren't starting in the starting 11. And that's, I think, is a good context to have. Again, depends. The season is long. There's a long way to go, but this team could definitely be something special. And I hope we actually get to see them lift more silverware this year.
I know, dude. And the coaching feels better too.
It feels better. It feels. Javi Mascherano has really impressed me so far.
Yeah, same. I do think both the Monterrey tie and the Columbus Crew loss in the Leagues Cup both went on the feet of Tata Martino. And if he is better, then I think we might win those tournaments last year. But this team is so much better, and I do have more confidence in the coaching staff. Luis Barrios says, if Miami gets Obando, I see that there'll be a panic because Obando's super fast, super athletic. Can you imagine adding a super pacey, super athletic center forward to this roster and hitting teams in transition like we've done so well this season? That will be it's going to be scary, man.
Very scary, yeah.
Okay, who else impressed you in this game? Ustadi had a nice game, got hit, took it like a man, got back up. Didn't have to make incredible plays, especially as a sweeper. The sweeping is the thing
that one goal that was at him. He got fingertip or two, but it's okay, understandable. I thought he was really good. Lujan, didn't see him once throughout the game, which is the perfect thing that I want from my center back.
No, he had a turnover late in the second half.
That's okay. But I mean, not the game was more or less.
Yeah.
I don't think he was poor by any means or didn't stand out in a negative way at all. I thought he was good. Allen, I thought was really, really good. Alba, decent, good enough. Frey, I thought had a good game. Kremasky was good. Bright, phenomenal, I think. Sergio Busquets, phenomenal. Sergio Busquets again. Telasco Segovia, man of the match. Suarez, 4 goal contributions. Allende, banger of a goal. And then who's left?
Noah Allen. You ready to talk about Noah Allen for 2
Already
minutes?
talked about Noah Allen.
He
but,
gets no. We didn't talk
before-
about Noah Allen.
Before
I
we get
said
to
Noah Allen,
Allen,
and you said we can't talk about Noah Allen because we'll get sidetracked for 30 minutes. But he's
That's
again
true.
the captain. He was made the captain when Busquets leaves the field.
So good, man.
Is he a starter?
He's the best player that we have in the back line right now. As simple as that.
Center back for sure. Like this was the best 11, and Maxi Falcone wasn't in it. Now I think that
And that's
may
okay.
be because he's not quite 90 minutes fit on twice a week. Like there may be some countenance to that, but like
okay, think about it this way. That's okay, right? It's all right. It's all right if Maxi Falcone isn't the starter in this team because the other players are doing a job, and that's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
We just went on the road and beat a probable playoff team 4-1, crushed them, and the 3 center backs we thought were going to be our top 3 this year, Aviles, David Martinez, and Maxi Falcone, didn't play a minute. And that was our biggest weakness last year. We had no depth at all. We were putting Busquets back there and Christoph, and like, what has happened to this team?
Raul Sanllehi has done a great job.
Yeah, we actually should have a conversation about that. Once we get through this bulk of early season games where we had play twice a week, we're going to start doing our midweek episodes again when there's not a game every 3 days, and we're going to have some really interesting conversations.
Also, can we talk about Santi Morales' debut?
Oh yeah, no, please do. Yes.
Great, such a good feeling, man. I'm glad that Mascherano's done some really good stuff these last 4 games, and I think the biggest is the fact that he's promoted Santi Morales up from the second team, brought him on the bench for the last few games, and today he got a bit of a run out. I thought he was good. There was a really good moment that him, Afonso, and Kramaski had. Yeah. It was slightly further away from Kramaski, but it was a really good chance. And
it was Leo Afonso setting up. It was Leo Afonso setting up Kramaski in the 4th minute of the game, but Kramaski was in the 75th minute of the game, and so he had lost a step of pace because he was tired. But that would have been a goal. Yeah, that would have been a goal if it was it was minute 5.
They bring excitement up top. Yes, by that time I think the game was more or less dead and buried, and we didn't have too much control. So it was understandable that they didn't have too much of an impact. But I thought it was really good to see them actually get a run out and play a few minutes.
Yeah. Did you make anything of Julian Gressel, David Martinez, and Maxi Falcone not playing any minutes in this game?
No, I think Maxi Falcone and David Martinez didn't necessarily need to come on. Julian Gressel has one step out the door, man. I think he's gone. It doesn't make sense for him not to leave at this point. It'll happen. I think they're looking for a team for him, and when it does, we'll wish him the best. I think he doesn't fit in the squad at this point in time.
You know what's great?
Where do you put him?
He's another player. That's a very good MLS player. That's not better than Telasco Segovia. So I agree. I don't know what to say. He is the thing I love is that this team was able to get everything situated financially with his contract, which means that when we move him and if we move him, it's going to be under our terms. It's not going to be desperate. It's not going to be panicking. It's not going to be us trying to
get him off the books.
Get off the books in the days before the season starts. Which I love, and I'm really happy the team was able to do that. And like, listen, if in 2 weeks or 3 weeks they realize like maybe this isn't happening, then maybe he does get worked in. And again, he is a quality player. And we saw him in the preseason. Every game he played, he had a nice, chance creation and had a couple assists. So, yeah. Okay, let me look at the starting lineup one last time just to see if there's anyone we didn't talk about. I mean, we didn't really talk about Busquets, but he was, I thought, great. And then man of the match, probably Segovia, but I think Tadeo Allende and Luis Suarez both had
I think both Suarez and Allende.
Suarez for the stats. So yeah, anyone on the bench that had an impressive game? Santi Morales and Leo Afonso, I thought both. It was good to see that they were given chances.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, anything else on this game that's on your mind?
No, I think we'll do an analysis of this soon enough, and it'll be a fun rewatch. I think the last couple of games, rewatching them, or at least the New York game and the first Kansas game, weren't the best to rewatch, but this is going to be a fun rewatch. I think a lot to take away from this, but I'm already trying to think who to give my awards to and what they're going to be called. So looking forward to that conversation.
I'm just glad I gave the hot sauce award already so that I can establish that. And now I can just have a bunch of hot sauce puns for Telasco Segovia. Although I do think tomorrow he might earn something slightly better than the hot sauce award. Okay. Can you stall for a second while I go through the chat and make sure we got to every topic?
All right, what do we stall about? Let's talk about Yannick Bright. Did it
Let's talk
feel like
about-
he had a leg laceration? Absolutely not. He looked
he's so
just
good,
fit as a fiddle. He's so good, man. Honestly, he's so good. He's not going to be here long enough. He's not going to be here long enough. Allende is not going to be here long enough. Segovia is not going to be here long enough.
I know. Segovia is like the player that Houston would desperately spend all of their money on to bring in to be their DP star player. And he's just a U22 for us. It's insane. Javier Mascherano, I guess we'll end on this because Anton asked, Javier Mascherano has not lost a match at all. I know we touched on it a little bit, but his wider performances, the lack of rotation concerns me, but the game plans have been spot on. This formation and setup he has been incredible. The fact that he gets consistency and like creates a stability through the spine of the team, but then is willing to sort of twist and match what he needs to do per game on the wings and on the wide play. And we saw it again tonight with Jordi Alba playing more conservatively. That was awesome. The fact that it didn't feel like a drop off when the best player in the world left the field, that's awesome. And by the way, I'm really glad we don't have to have that conversation over the next 2 weeks.
Oh my God, yeah, that would have been a fun one for sure.
Yeah.
No, I want to push back on your point about the rotation because I feel like he is rotating in his own little way, right? So he took off Sergio Busquets when he needed to be brought off. He knew when the game was dead and buried. Sergio Busquets came off. Suarez came off at the right time. And these may not feel like outright rotations, but they do cut down on the minutes that some of these players have to play.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It's a worry for sure how much he can rotate. But I also think at this point, it doesn't seem like the team is suffering. Like you can't see that, oh my God, Benjamin Kromaski has been run into the ground. Like
it's not now that I'm worried
It's not
about.
now for sure. And that's okay. I think I will have my eye on that for sure. But I think right now maybe a little bit premature to say that he's not rotating well enough. We'll see when it actually comes down to rotation to protect the players and their physicality. And once the physical levels start to drop, if they do start to drop, then it would be interesting to see how he rotates and how he deals with that. But right now, I think he's doing just enough to say that, yeah, we are managing the minutes. But something to keep an eye out for. Overall, I think his management has been really good. His tactical setup has been good. The shape that he sets the team up in sometimes may not work, shows that he can tweak things in and around the game. We're going to go through adversity like we did against New York City. That's going to show a little bit more of what Javier Mascherano is as a coach. But overall, I think the team that he puts out there, the setup that he has and the tactics that he has so far have left me very impressed, for sure.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have a longer conversation on this tomorrow, but I think it worked out well today because it was an easy game, and part of the minutes conversation is not how many minutes, but how intense the minutes are.
Yeah.
If you're playing a very tight 1-1 game or 1-goal game, then it's a lot more exhausting. But if you have a 3-0 lead at halftime, it's much easier. And then they were able to take those guys off because they had the big lead. So that's I think it worked out. But anyways, we'll have that conversation another time. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. This was the Raw Reaction. As always, we will be back probably tomorrow night, having rewatched the game. We'll come up with awards. We'll do a more tactical breakdown. And that's sort of the second time we watch the game, it's more tactical and more player analytical focused. The first time, we're just fans, and we want to come on with you guys and get your reaction, kind of hear what you're thinking, and have it be more raw and emotional. So that's what this was. Tomorrow, we'll be back with the full game breakdown and all the stuff we normally do. But until then, guys, enjoy this win. Enjoy this very special team. I guess that's what my monologue from the beginning is about. This is a special team. Please enjoy it. It may never happen again like this. So enjoy it. Enjoy the season. Enjoy your night. We will see you guys tomorrow. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and have a wonderful day.